Yeah, that's how well, that's what I thought too. I had some bad news for you. So it's never done.
Trust me, I'm already learning that.
That's good. So have you touched the keyboard at all? I mean, you've been writing? You're a producer?
I've been working on a couple of things here and there.
Okay.
Looking at some stuff. I've touched it a little bit.
Okay.
I kind of went back to my C scale and
good.
C scale again. I did the treble clef.
Okay, so you did review. Very good.
Continue on with. I need to continue on my treble clef. I'm like, what the hell? Like, oh yeah, that's right. Never mind.
And then it's so funny because I was supposed to send you a video and I was like, you know what? I got lazy.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. I'm like, she probably got busy.
I didn't get busy. I got lazy. It's two different things. Busy is one thing. Lazy is another. I just was like, oh, well, he'll be all right. He catches on quick.
I say, no, she got me. She got me covered.
Yeah, I got you. I got you covered. I ain't worried about you. Now, if I hadn't talked to you today, yeah, if I hadn't talked to you today, I would have went ahead and done a quick vid for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that though.
So you had mentioned your treble clef. So you kind of remember all that good stuff? Yeah. Okay. You said questions about it? I know I gave you a lot of theory.
You gave me a lot of theory, which was working well.
Yeah. Theory's a good thing. Did I ever get you to start actually drawing your treble clefs?
I think that's what we left off at.
Oh, I see it on page 14.
I drew two, and then I drew two, and then that was it. We were talking about doing the left hand. We did a quick, couple minutes on the left hand.
Okay, so we did bass clef too.
Yep.
Okay, that'll work. All right, well, I mean, tell me what you remember and what you've been working on, and we'll start from there.
All right. So left hand left off was the triple clef.
Okay.
I was playing these notes that had me right in the book with page 15.
Excellent.
I did those.
Okay. I know that I gave you mnemonic devices, right? That every good boy does find and face. Was that helpful?
So we left off on me starting with the left hand.
Okay. Well, let's review the right hand, since it's been a month of Sundays, or more than a month of Sundays, actually, if you want to be technical.
All right.
So yeah, just did you get to? You said you just drew a couple of those treble clef signs, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you can finish those up on your own time. And then if you can just tell me, what all did you complete on the 14 and 15 review?
Let's see. Let's go back real quick. So on 14 and 15, I got all of the notes written in.
Okay, can you tell me what...
Remember we did that. I played it and I remember we went over it.
Okay, have you had a chance to review that?
I have not, but I will do that now. Actually.
Okay, because I know you got it. I know you have it, but
a refresher.
Well, it's good for review and warm up. It's actually a good warm up opportunity. Yeah. So this will start getting you back into being comfortable with your hand-eye coordination. Looking at a note and processing it, and then transferring that into actually application with playing the actual notes. Which is what sight reading is, I guess. That should be a Webster's. I need to put that. I need to submit that to Webster's. So let me stop. That breakdown, I thought that was pretty genius. Let's say so myself. I'm just kidding. So that middle C has that little line through it. That's how you always know that's the middle C.
Middle C, correct.
Mm-hmm. And that middle C, usually if we're in middle C position, or both our thumbs actually share it. If it's in the right, or I should say treble clef, we usually use our right thumb. If it's in the bass clef, instead of that same little middle C, we'll use our left thumb. We don't have to, but it's just an indication.
Okay.
So what I would like you to do is to name, as you play the notes, name the notes that you wrote. So you're just kind of reciting what you wrote and play those notes. And take your time. There's no rush on that. Another thing, when I know I might be cramming some information, but as you start using this as a warm-up process for sight reading, pay attention to patterns. Are they stepping up? Are you going up the register on the keyboard? Is it getting higher, step by step? Is it coming back down? Is it skipping? So what I want to do is on the bottom of page 14 where it says as number 4, where you wrote the names in each box, if you notice they're going line, space, line, space, line. Usually either ascending or descending, those are steps. Okay. So that means that the notes are right next to each other in proximity. The white keys. That's a hint. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Patterns are great. Patterns make sight reading easier.
Honestly, it really does. It's a lot easier to look at it again. It makes sense.
Yep. Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead.
Turn your volume up just a tad for me, if it's okay. If it's not inconvenient. Thank you. That's perfect.
Over for you?
Perfect.
All right. So we got C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C.
Okay. Why you gotta make it something so easy?
This is your fault. You're the one that did this.
You're like, yeah, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. So, okay. At the top of and even though you haven't touched the piano, but golly, at the top of page 15, I want you to look at that pattern. I know you wrote the notes, the middle C, the every good. But if you notice, they're going line to line, up and down, right? They're skipping a step up, skipping another step up, skipping a step down, skipping a step down, skipping a step up and down on these patterns. When you see line to line, and as you'll see in number 6, space to space, that means you normally will skip. There'll usually be a note in between, so it's not consecutive like the other one. The other pattern that's just a pattern hint, but you've already written the notes out. I hope that you notice the repeats of those notes, like if you could identify where you see the middle C's. Where that first line of E's, you see those E's. Okay, good. Okay, so go ahead and name the note and play them for me, please.
Gotcha. All right, so got C, E, G, E, C, E, G.
Okay, stop. Make sure that your hand position is C, D, E, F, G. Make sure your pinky is playing the G. C, E, G. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so let's do it again.
All right, so.
You got it, Vino. No, you go up. Yeah, if you're going back up to G. And look at, yep.
G, E, C, E, G, E, G, E, C.
There you go. See the pattern? You can ride that pattern without worrying so much. I hate to say this because it's kind of like, but it's the truth, especially if you are sight reading and you're cold sight reading where you've never seen it before. You can ride that pattern. Once you know where the middle C is and you got a point of reference and you see it skipping, I'm going up, I'm skipping back down. You didn't get to worry about the note. Once you can ride that pattern, you'll play it accurately. Okay, so that's why I wanted you to also look at that with your sight reading. I was not taught patterns for some reason. I mean, I started as a little girl playing classical piano, which is all scales, steps, skips, all that. But I don't know why they didn't make it easier on me. I made it a lot harder than it had to be. So I promised that whoever I taught, I was going to give you all the shortcuts and the hints. So, with that being said, let's look at number 6. We're looking at spaces. Okay. But they're skipping again. So, what am I trying to say? If you go line to line to line, there's skips, there are notes in between. If you go space to space to space, there's skips in between. If you go line, space, and they're in order, those are steps. They're right next to each other. Okay? So space to space, we're skipping again. We got that D. The middle C and the D, there's not a really a mnemonic device for it. Just memorization. The middle C has that line through it. That's the hint. It's like it's a little staff line. And then the D, I always say hugs that line right before the E line. That D hugs the first line. That's how you just have to kind of memorize that. Now, mnemonic device for spaces is face, F-A-C-E. First space is F. Okay, so those are little hints. But once you know what those notes are, just use your patterns. Okay? All right, so let's give it a whirl.
Okay.
And you remember your fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 is your pointer. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
We got D, F, D, F, F, D, D, F, D, F, D.
Okay, soldier. Okay, let's move it along. But you see the pattern, right? Obviously. I like that you recognize that those notes, some of them are in the same space too. Because sometimes people overthink and say, oh, what's that note? Well, it's the same one. It's right in that same space, right next to each other. So excellent job on that.
Thank you.
Do you have any? Yeah.
So many repeating.
And you know that from doing your producing and stuff. You've seen these patterns before. It's just now you can put a name on it. You can explain and give terms to it. So that's all it is. It's just reinforcement of what you already know naturally, and your ear already knows. So now on number 7, we're doing lines and spaces. This is fun. I like stuff like this because it's like playing. In fact, remind me before we end this lesson, I want to sign you up for Piano Maestro, which is fun as heck. It's like a Guitar Hero for piano lessons. It's fun. Okay, so remind me. Don't let me forget. Okay. Now, so up page. Number 7, we got lines and spaces. What note are we starting out on?
We're starting out on middle C.
Yep.
Alright, so.
You're skipping up.
C, E, D, F.
Mm-hmm. Good. F. Oh, it was a G, but that's okay.
D, F, E.
Yes.
Yeah, E. So C,
That was right.
D, F, E, G, E, F,
Mm-hmm.
D,
Mm-hmm.
E,
Mm-hmm.
C.
Yes. How did that feel?
Yeah.
Feels interesting, doesn't it?
That felt good.
It feels good, doesn't it?
I'm second guessing myself.
I mean, don't second guess yourself. I mean, you on your classical right now. That's some classical stuff right there. Da, 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 da. So let's do it again. I want you, before you play it, I want you to do me a favor. This is going to be irritating.
Okay.
For each note, I want you to go from C and into E. I want you to say skip. Then you could look at the E to the D, step. D to F, skip, step. I want you to just say that. Tell me what you see in between each 2 notes. Going across the entire phrase.
Skip, step.
Mm-hmm. Tell me if it's a skip from the first to the next note. Tell me if it's a skip or a step. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thinking about what we talked about. So C to E.
Skip.
Yep.
Skip. Step.
Mm-hmm.
Skip.
Mm-hmm.
Step.
Mm-hmm.
Skip.
Mm-hmm.
Step.
Skip.
Skip.
You played the right note though. So that was the E. Mm-hmm. Keep going.
What was that? E.
Mm-hmm. You skipped down from the G.
Yep. Step. Yeah, no. Step.
Mm-hmm.
Step. Skip. Skip. Because you're going back.
Mm-hmm.
E.
So tell me, start from that E. When you skip down from the G. With the G to the E is a skip. Just say that. Play your G and then play your E.
G to E skip.
So
then C to E.
So E to.
So then F.
Is a what?
F will be a step. And then skip. And then step. And then skip.
Yeah. Do you see what I'm trying to make you do? I know I'm forcing it, but I want you to see what I'm trying to where I'm trying to put your mindset with looking at these notes. Think about it. You can now go up to any sheet music and play those notes just by looking at those patterns. Yeah. Once we got the middle C, we in the money here. Okay? So let's do the second line of number 7. I don't want you to do any skips or steps. I just want you to say the notes. I just wanted to get you to thinking about that. And you start with your pinky, which is on G.
Gotcha.
And skipping down.
Okay.
That was right.
G, E, F, B, E, C, E, D, F, E, G.
Good. Just remember your F. D, F, E, G. And do you feel what the writer was doing there? The little bit of a pattern within the song itself or the piece? So now I want you to play number 7, both lines.
Okay.
Step down. E, G. And that's it. Okay? Do you have questions? Because I'm pushing you. I'm pushing you along.
No, you're good. No, just the placement. That's all. I'm getting right back to it.
Interesting, huh? Feels good, doesn't it? Work them fingers. That's reminds me a lot of Hannon, and Hannon is like a finger aerobics. So we'll get into that later with Hannon. So let's look at number 8. Where they're talking about sames. Okay. Same lines. What I like is it's same and then it steps. Same, steps. Same, steps. Same. You know, that's what I do. Before I play anything, I look at it. And I'm like, okay, what is going on here? You know, let me look and let me analyze this before I even play it. Not that it has to be perfect, but it gets you as close to accuracy as possible, which we're studying music, so that's not totally a big deal if you don't get it the first time. But when you start performing or someone says, Vino, I need you to play for this singer and here's the sheet music, you want to be as accurate as you possibly can. That's all. So those are little ways, I call them little cheat sheets, but I hate to use the word cheat, but it is what it is. It makes it easier.
Clearly, that's what everybody says. It's easier than it's cheap.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I would say it's also some ingenuity on our parts to make it, you know, be smarter and not work hard as we have to. So let's go to number 8, and let's just give that one a whirl, that exercise or practice. Excellent. So, along with your scales, I want you to continue to work on these pages. These are great exercises for hand-eye coordination and for your fingers for dexterity. Okay? Let's move on. I knew you was going to fly through that. Left hand. We got the left hand now. All shucks. Bass clef.
Getting serious now.
Yeah, it's getting serious now. The mirror image is what I always call it. They have, now what I do like about this book is they actually have you in C position where your left hand, your pinky is going to start on that lower C, an octave down. Okay, so an octave down from the middle C, which is 8 notes, the next 8 notes to that next C. So your hand is in position. Your bass fingering, if you notice, it says notes for this position are written on the bass staff, and it shows that bass clef used for left hand notes in a little diagram, and then it has the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, C, D, E, F, G. So you would start on your pinky instead of your thumb.
Gotcha.
Which is important because when we start doing our scales for both hands, that's something you have to remember when we're doing ascending, that you're going in that direction, but you're using different fingers depending on which hand. Okay? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Now we know our hand position. We know what this bass clef looks like. We know this is our left hand. We're going to do the left hand warm up. It says play the following warm up. Say the name of each note aloud as you play. Repeat until you play smoothly. Now before you play, did I give you the mnemonic devices for left hand for lines and spaces? Do you remember? Good boys do fine always and all cows eat grass.
I don't remember all cows eat grass.
Okay, so I will be sending that over to you. Good boys do fine always are your lines. G, B, D, F, A. And then the bottom space, all, is an A. Cows is the next space. Eat, E, is the next space. And grass is the final space. And if you look, that's where it has you starting on that G, which would have been grass. So, of course, when you mnemonic devices, the lines and spaces are different sentences because they're different notes. Okay? But now once we know, okay, all cows eat grass, right? Now we know what that G is. What's happening with the pattern? Because we don't even need the notes. Because what's happening? It's going line. It's going space, line, space, line, space. So what's it doing?
Yeah.
It's going in consecutive steps, and they're going downward.
Yeah.
Right. So you going down the steps. So once you know what that G is, you don't even need to know the rest of the notes. And have you noticed too that in that first line, the pattern repeats? G, F, E, D, C. And then it starts again. G, D, E, F, C. So you're playing it twice. Once you start doing those analyses of all this, it will make it a lot easier with your sight reading. So let's go ahead and do the warm up for the first line. And you're starting with your thumb, which is 1. Pinky is on your lower C.
Okay, gotcha.
There you go. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay. Let's do the next line. That's it. Now do the last line. Almost.
Well, there we go.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then it starts to pinky and goes up the steps.
It goes back up.
Mm-hmm. So play it again. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. Okay. So, and then you play that C again and come back up. And you really don't have to play it that fast. I don't know why you be playing so fast. You are flying.
My fingers are just doing it.
God dang.
It's like my finger automatically it always crosses every time.
Oh, Speedy Gonzalez. Oh, okay, on page 17. I'm like, God darn. Okay. All right, so number 17. Page 17. Whole note. You know, I love note values. That's all math. You are very familiar with this stuff. Very familiar with it. So we're looking at a whole note which gets 4 beats. It's a circle or oval, I guess. It ain't got no line or no stem, no nothing. It's just sitting there. It's just a round little circle. And that we know when we see that and it's not filled in, that's a whole note. We are holding that note for 4 counts. Okay?
Okay.
It says to clap or tap the following rhythm. Clap once for each note, counting aloud. Okay? So our quarter notes, we know they're kind of ongoing, right? Then we get to the half note, which is 2 beats, which is like, I call half notes and whole notes stop signs. You're walking along consistently, 3, 4, continually, 2, and then we hold for 2. Then we start again. We're walking along, beat, and then hold 2, 3, 4. Okay? So I want you to tap that rhythm to watch it, look at each note. Each quarter note gets that one clap and then stop at the half note for 2 and a whole note for 4 counts.
Okay. All right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Good.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1,
2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm gonna have to get you. You know, I get my little people the little rhythm sticks. They got the red ones, the blue and the green. I'm gonna have to get you some rhythm sticks now. I got my maracas over there, but I'm too lazy to go over there and get my maracas. We be breaking it down with the little people. We breaks it down. You hear me? Little tambourines, all bells, all kinds of stuff. So, but good. Rhythm is music. You cannot have music without rhythm. There's no such thing. It'll just be one long note or a bunch of gobbledygook. Rhythm is what gives it the, it gives it the pulse. It gives it a defined, unique melody. You have to have the rhythm, especially in an ensemble, especially when you're writing music with different instruments, which is a form of an ensemble. It has to match. Well, not technically by rules. You can hear some wild stuff, but you get what I'm saying. It all has rhythm. It all has some sort of meter attached to it. So, Lee, the melody was made into a popular song, Love Me Tender, sung by Elvis Presley. We're not going to tap. We're not going to sing. We're not doing notes. We're just not doing all that right now. But what we are going to do is to analyze what we see. When we're looking at the first line, we see that it's all in the what clef. What clef do you see? Treble or bass?
That would be the bass clef.
Yes. And we see 2 lines because at the very end of that second line, we see the double bar line, which means it's the end of the song, right? It's showing the pattern of C up to F, stepping down to E, and stepping back up to F, right? Then it steps up in the second measure to G, down to D, and up to G. Do you see this pattern anywhere else in this song?
There's a pattern of the same thing all over.
Tell me where. Where do you see that same, for the first and second measure, where do you see it repeated again, that pattern? If you look at the bottom.
Everything.
So the bottom first 2 measures are exactly the same as the top first 2 measures. Right? So that's half the song.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Then on the third and fourth measure, where it says "neath the willow tree," it completely matches the second row on those last 2 measures, singing our Lee. F, E, D, E, F. So all we have to do is learn 2 patterns to do the whole song, because it repeats. That's how I break down music and analyze it so that it won't seem overwhelming to me. It'll make sense to me. I can't speak for everybody else. But I know I'll be the one on stage, sweating with the spotlight and everybody staring at me. So I got to come up with some things that's going to make it, you know what I mean? I got to sink or swim.
Yeah.
I can tell you some stories, and thank God for things like that. I go, okay, well, I see the pattern, Robin, calm down. Okay, if I get this pattern, I just repeat that, and once I got it, I can roll with it. Okay? So let's give this a whirl. We'll take our time. Don't forget about your half note and your whole note, which actually the rhythm of both lines of Lee match what you just clapped at the top. It's 4 quarter notes, 2 quarters and a half note, and then 4 quarters and then a whole note. See? So when I do music and I analyze it, I then attempt to play it. I ain't that worried about the rhythm just yet. I want you to get comfortable with the notes. So don't worry about it being perfect with the rhythm. I'd like to get you comfortable with what the notes are that you're playing. So let's give it a whirl. Let's see how it goes for you. See how it feels.
All right, let's see.
You take your time. You got it. Keep going. And take your time. Good. So the only note was make sure that you play the 4, which is your ring finger, which is that D, on the second measure in the spring. Okay, good job. Keep going because you done played the first line. Might as well go to play the second line, which is really a repeat. Good job. Good. Don't forget your E. Stepping back up. There you go. Okay. That's it. That's it. Does it make sense the way the pattern is? And the song's familiar, right?
Yeah.
You know that song. Love me tender, love me. You know how Elvis. I'm trying to sound like Elvis Presley. I don't think it's working.
You're close.
But I did my head like this, like. Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. Watch out, I got a crick now. Watch out now. I can't get hurt doing no Elvis. Okay, so that makes do you have questions about that?
No, that's just again hand placement and kind of just getting used to basically doing it.
Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive because most of the time, are you right-handed? You write with your right hand? Or are you left-handed?
I'm left-handed, actually.
Are you really? Oh, it's making sense. You left-handers, man. Y'all catch on like, it's very, very unfair. 2 of my children are left-handed. Huh?
So we're the only ones that are in our right mind.
Okay, I don't know about all that. No, but really, it's very interesting you all.
If we're right-minded, it doesn't mean that we're in our right mind.
Yeah. I don't think that has anything to do with what hand you play with. Okay. Did we ever get to work on page 18?
Let's see here.
Which is all it is just like the treble clef theory that we were doing.
We did not.
Okay.
We haven't started on this one.
Okay, excellent. So this is gonna be your practice work. We don't call it homework, we call it practice work. Okay?
Okay.
Same thing that you were doing on the other 2 sheets where we were dealing with the treble clef and you had drawn in those treble clefs. So here the bass clef, it starts on F and it curves around and it comes down. It reminds me of like a backward C with 2 dots or like a heart, half a heart, with 2 dots. Yeah, that's how I see it. And I'm not really an artsy person, so sometimes with the theory, I have to come up with some things to mimic because there's a lot of, music is not just math. There's a lot of drawing, like figures, like even the notes and stuff. You're actually drawing these things and these symbols. So it's interesting.
What's funny about that, my wife had the treble clef and the bass clef as a tattoo for her and I.
For her what? Oh, really?
For her and I.
That's cute.
It turned into the heart.
That's so cute. Oh, I've never seen that. Go ahead. That is so unique. That's unique. I like that. So that's all I want you to do. Draw your bass clefs. Go back and draw them treble clefs. I know you didn't. I know they're pain, but you have to go back and draw them because if you're going to be this, the new era Beethoven or Bach, you're going to be transcribing your music by hand. You know what I mean? You got to just be like, it's like cursive. It's like cursive. So for review, on the bottom, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's got you in C position. Same rules apply. Space line, or steps. Consecutive notes. Line to line or space to space or skips. And then they mix it up on number 7. And then 8, they do sames. So I want you to work on that. And then, interesting. On page 19, let me see something real quick. I want you to read over page 20 and 21. No, just 20.
Okay.
Just read it over.
Just 20. Okay.
Uh-huh. Because it breaks it all down, the backdrop of sheet music. The staff, the grand staff, which has your treble clef and your bass clef. Your treble staff and your bass staff. The brace that pulls that staff together. 5 lines and 4 spaces at the top in the treble. 5 lines, 4 spaces on the bottom in the bass. The time signature, starting to get into that, and I know you're familiar with time signature. 4/4. Top 4 means the 4 beats, use 4 beats to a measure. Bottom 4 means each quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay? And you'll see that. And now, so when you look at this music and you see other sheet music, it's like, okay, now I know what I'm looking at. Because there is a method to the madness. You know, it's not just like a bunch of foreign different objects with a bunch of lines and stuff and numbers and squiggly, you know, art forms. It's actually all means something. One thing that I do like that they're introducing as well is the whole rest, which is in the bass clef on playing the grand staff. That whole rest a rest is music. It gets beats, but you're not playing. You're resting your hand for 4 beats. Because there's going to come a time when both hands will be playing at the same time. Or your left hand will be playing and your right hand will sit. Okay? So that just lets you know that, okay, while my right hand is playing all this, yeah, my left hand is holding for whole rests for 1, 2, 3, 4 measures. Then on the second line, the second phrase, the right hand is resting for 4 beats for 4 measures. The left hand is playing the music. Okay, so it all makes sense. Then at the end, you know how we have the double bar line? Well, that means the end of the piece. Well, for this one, you see those little dots on that double bar line? That means that they want you to go back to the beginning and repeat the whole thing again. So you're going to play it twice. That's the repeat sign. Okay? So it's not just a double bar because there's 2 dots. So that means you're going back and you're going to play it again. And that makes it easier for musicians. Like if you say you do a verse and a chorus, they want you to go back and do the chorus again. You don't have to keep writing all those notes. Just play it again, which you already saw. Okay? Do you have questions for me?
No, actually, that literally made a lot more make sense.
Okay.
I'm looking at all that, like, okay, yeah, cool. I see, like, you know, first bar, left hand rest, second, right hand rest, then I see repeat, so then I repeat that again. I'm looking, okay, yeah.
It's like there's a method to the madness. Like I said, there are. To me, sheet music and sight reading is a formula, which already comes natural through our hearing and feel and playing and what we create. The formula is that whatever you're looking at, if you know this formula, you can play other people's music, or you can transcribe your own music so that other people can play yours, like an orchestra. I mean, that's nice. We produce all day, but if you know, they have transcribing software now, so you can actually play your piece or play whatever you created, and it will print out the sheet music. What if you wanted a live orchestra to play your piece?
Yep.
They all got the sheet music. You got a live orchestra playing their part, the necessary part. So somebody else might want to play your piece, and they may not play by ear or have that ability to, you know, conceptualize like producers do. But if they get that sheet music, they can play it. You know, so I think that's important. I think that you have the faculties as a composer. Now you get to add the theory, you know, the formal training, because you already have everything else. There's nowhere to go but up. So is this a good time for you on Wednesdays? Or you just...
You talked to me on Wednesday. This is kind of like I mean, because some days I can do earlier.
Well, all you got to... What we'll do is we'll say Wednesday. We'll keep it today. But you just tell me that day. Text me. Robin, you know, 5's going to work for me. Or can we do earlier? You know, and I can adjust. Okay? And your scales, you're working on your C scale and your C?
C scale, G scale, D, C, G, and D.
Wow.
We did work on. I got that.
Okay.
Almost down pat. D
Okay.
Still kind of.
Okay, with the 2 sharps. No problem.
Getting comfortable with it.
Getting that feel, because it's all tactile as well. Ear and tactile.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, well, just keep working on that. And then next week, I will be adding a new scale. So we'll have CD, we have CGD, we'll do the A scale, which has 3 black keys. And then, I'm going to get you signed up for Piano Maestro. It's on Joy Tunes. It's fun. You're going to like it.
Okay.
It's like you go to levels. You could play it on your keyboard or piano, whatever. It picks up what you're doing. And you follow along on beat where it's going, and you play the song. You pick what genre you want, and it just keeps taking you to the next level and the next level. And it'll introduce like half notes or eighth notes or different things like that. But you get stars and you get points. But you could go back and you like work on some things. Like, okay, I'm going to go back and work on this. And so the students really liked it last year when I had them doing it. Even my adults were like, I had some of my youth students that were like, oh, I'm going to do better than Miss So-and-so this week. You know, they didn't even know each other, but they saw the names and it got like competitive. But it's fun. It's fun. So I'll get you signed up. You'll get an email or I'll text you the link. And if you just upload the app, it's called Piano Maestro, and I'll get that to you.
Okay.
It's good to see you.
You as well.
Me too. Okay, sweetie. Well, I'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good.
Call me if you have any questions.
Will do.
Okay, baby. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Oh.